Hello everyone, my name is Andrea Hyland. I am the founder of Heal My Voice. And right now, this holiday season, I am sharing every day on Facebook Live a journey of transforming grief. It's a little bit of a flashback to 6 years ago when I hosted 44 radio shows with 27 guests over the holidays around the topic of grief transformation. People came on the show and talked about losses that they had had or experiences from a loss of a loved one to a fire in their house to someone who was transgender, talked about grief, loss of identity, ways that our lives are changing that we haven't had control over. So today is day 6, and the show that I'm highlighting today is about staying open to feelings and taking control of your grief. So I'm going to share a couple of experiences, and the radio show today that I'll post the link of after I complete the Facebook Live, it'll be here in the show description. The show was about staying open to feelings and taking control of your grief, no matter what the loss is, or even feeling lost or feeling sad about anything in your life. Hi, Cassandra. So, first thing I want to just say is that my first experience of grief was really with the death of my brother when I was 4 years old. He died of SIDS, died in his sleep when he was, pretty much just born. And this was 1960. Hi. So this was 1960. We didn't have Oprah. We didn't have Dr. Phil. We didn't have Phil Donahue, people talking about feelings. My mother really felt like there was nothing, and there was no one to talk with about her grief. We were living in community at that time, but then my dad was transferred and we moved very quickly. So I'm sure that experience of grief when I was 4 years old is what has led me to conversations around grief, because there were none. My brother died and he was gone, and I didn't have anyone, and there were no conversations around that throughout my life. So I'm sure it's what led me to study social work in college. It led me to asking questions about feelings and emotions. And so when my son died in 1993 from a congenital, he had a congenital heart defect, and then he ended up dying of a neuroblastoma cancer at the age of 19 months. I explored grief a lot with reading books and talking with people. I was also in a unique situation where my 4th child was born 2 weeks after the death of my son. But it was at the 1-year anniversary that I made what I will call a misinformed decision. I thought that if I devoted my attention and poured all of my energy into feeling all the feelings of grief, that I would never have to feel the depth of that pain again. And what I have learned over time, and I'm sure some of you, many of you may know this, that grief is something that cycles through your life. I mean, I hope that every day you feel some joy and happiness in your life, every day. And the truth is, we feel a wide variety of emotions every day. That's one of the beautiful things about being a human being, is about being able to feel sadness on this end and joy on this end. It's like they're all here. And so I literally made myself sick around the grief of my son, because for a month I just sat in the grief. I did things to read books, to remember every detail about the sad parts of his life, the things that made me sad. I read books of loss. And I'll tell you that everything that I did is a powerful practice for feeling and expressing grief. But when I talk about take control of grief, the difference between when my son died and when my husband died was that I knew that I would grieve for the rest of my life. I knew that I would reach a place where the numbness would wear off and I would be remembering the good times as well as the sad times. I knew that that would be part of a tapestry of my life, that I would feel all of those feelings. So when my husband died, I decided to, and this was in 2005, so like 12 years after my son died, I was able to guide my daughters on a journey of grief with me. And that is that there was an honoring of the feelings that we were feeling. And then every day I would have us take some step to get out in the world, to connect with something, but to not just sit in the grief day after day after day. So when after he died, my husband died, one of the first things that we did was after a few days, I said, okay, it's time to get up off the couch. We're going to go for a walk. And we walked a few blocks to the local Chinese restaurant. And we ordered food and we brought it back to our house. So it was like, move the body. You might feel like dancing, but if you don't feel like dancing, just get up and move your body a little bit. Go for a walk. You know, one day I just said, everyone in the car, we're going to go put gas in the car. I mean, simple things. And sometimes, I know I've had this experience, and maybe you have too, there's a fear that if we really let ourselves feel grief, that we won't come out of it, that we will get sick, that we'll be in it forever. So you can do things like set a timer around the amount of time that you'll grieve. Yes, I know, Cassandra, move your body. You're one of the great examples for teaching us that. Move your body. Because with grieving, we begin to breathe in shallow ways. It's as if the pain can feel like so much that you actually pull in and hold your breath. It's really a common thing that you hold your breath. So moving your body, jumping up and down, doing a few jumping jacks, you know, something to move your body or to go take action with something simple, a simple task, moves the energy and will help you to take some deeper breaths. And even that, take some deep breaths, you know. Just throughout the day, take some deeper breaths. And taking that deep breath might bring some tears forward. And that's okay, because you will release them. But putting a timer where you're going to spend time writing for a certain amount of time, or you're going to turn on a song and listen to a song that makes you cry, that helps you to release the tears. You know, sometimes there are things on YouTube that you can look at to help the tears come. There might be a movie that you watch that helps you. So I encourage you to listen to the show. I really talked about these stories and a little bit more about staying open to the feelings and then take control of it. That it's not about take control, like I'm going to control my grief and stop it. No, it's actually about setting boundaries around it. It's about taking some action. It's about connecting with the feelings and letting those be there. And during the holiday season, sometimes we get in touch with loss around even a dream that you had that didn't come true, or maybe you look back at the year and you feel like, oh, I had a goal that I wanted to complete, and it's the end of the year and I didn't do it. Like, it's okay to have those feelings. And thank you, Cassandra. Yeah, the staying open to the feelings, letting them be okay. And I know I've been talking about a couple of other examples in the first few days of just noticing places where I felt sad, where sadness was triggered, and just sitting down and having a cup of tea, cup of coffee, and letting myself feel what it was. And when you can do that, you can actually go through the layers of what else is in there. And one day I was feeling sad, and then I connected to a couple of memories that just had me roaring in laughter. So it's, let the sadness lead you to where that is. All right, so I'm going to post the show for today in the link, how to stay open to feelings and take control of your grief by setting some boundaries and giving yourself space to do that. Bye-bye now. I'll be back tomorrow for